Did you see who he's?
We know now that in the early years of the 20th century, this world was being watched closely by intelligences greater than man's, yet as mortal as his own. We know now that as human beings busied themselves about their various concerns, they were scrutinized and studied, perhaps almost as narrowly as a man with a microscope might scrutinize the transient creatures that swarm and multiply in a drop of water.
Well, there you go.
Whoa, dude! I mean, how haunting and important is that right now? 1938, New Jersey, War of the Worlds. Wow, Eric.
Yeah, 100%. But before we get into the rest of the stories, this was the briefing the other day from the White House on it.
Okay.
Let's see. Yeah, if I can get that going.
I just want to add a few comments on the reports of drone activity here on the East Coast, particularly in and around New Jersey.
Oh, there's one right there.
We have
Eric.
no evidence at this
That's
time that
yours.
the reported drone sightings pose a national security or a public safety threat, or have.
Oh, no. Oh, my God.
I just want to add a few comments
He's
on the
back.
reports of drone activity.
Oh, and now for the rest of the news.
That's funny. No, dude, I'm telling you, like, this looks like the movie version of an invasion from War of the Worlds.
100%.
It looks like, you ever see, there's like a million movies where they have like the government addressing the people. We've been invaded. There's no, you know, or they're covering it up or whatever the thing is.
Mhm.
This looks like that, you know, it looks like a bad movie.
100%. 100%. But you know what? I don't know that is the most frightening thing out there. There's another thing that just hit the news, which I've never seen before in my life, and I hope to never see again.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up. Thank God.
Female empowerment. Sick.
Welcome to the first day of rehearsal.
Thank you. So excited to be here. This has been a dream of mine.
Wow.
I think that it means that anything is possible. Tonight, we have a very special guest, Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson! I like it too. I think what I like about it is that I am having a very strongly negative reaction to it. Like I hate it.
Me too. I
Which
agree.
makes me think it must be brilliant.
Did you see Cornel West in the audience there? I don't know if you saw that.
No.
While the camera was panning, there was a quick, not intentional shot of Cornel West in the crowd. I mean, it looked like an SNL. Okay, I can't watch it anymore. You know, first I thought it was Whoopi Goldberg playing her in an SNL sketch. You know what I mean?
No, it's worse.
It's far worse. Let me ask you something. Has this ever happened in American history before?
You know, I don't know. Maybe it happened before they had television.
You mean where a Supreme
In the
Court judge,
1800s.
a
Oh,
Supreme
God.
Court judge would go on Broadway
Justice.
live?
I don't know, man. I I hope not. I hope not. But oh my God.
I mean, that was terrifying. Doesn't she have to judge stuff? Like, aren't there stuff she has to do? Could she take time off to go do a Broadway play?
I guess she could take time off to do anything she wants, but boy, it hurts my brain. I
Wow.
mean, I wish her hobby was fishing. You know,
Well,
Scalia,
again,
at
why do
least
we
went
have to
fishing.
have these hobbies of these people? Why this is even in the zeitgeist? Who gives a crap what they do in their spare time? But this is so public. Like you said, it hurts your brain to even think about it.
Oh God, and the performative aspect, it's just like can you? It's perfectly memeable. Now, every time she's going to ask a question, you could just keep playing this over the background when she's asking stupid questions of lawyers.
Well, it looks like the Shakespearean version of Hamilton. This is Juliet without Romeo. So take that for what it's worth.
It could be, but speaking of Juliet without a Romeo, this Juliet, who was hoping to end her romance in the CIA, appears to have fallen short.
Oh boy, this is not good. You know, I'm not a big fan of Tom Cotton, but what?
I am today.
No, I am today. Tom Cotton doing what the rest of us wanted to be done. This is a strange story because she kind of floated it out there herself that she wanted to be deputy director of the CIA. We've done an episode, if you want to watch our opinion on Amaryllis Fox, you can watch that entire episode. I went through her memoir with a fine-tooth comb and found a number of discrepancies that I point out in the episode when she was a CIA operative. It's very vague. I don't know whether it's a memoir or a novel or a nonfiction book, Eric, right? I mean,
yeah,
we never figured that out. But what's even more colorful is her career, because she leaves that husband. Her family are spooks, half from the British Raj, half from India. I don't know about this Michael Caputo guy. He's really on her side, or I don't know what the Caputo thing is. He's really a sketchy guy. But let me just get back to her for a second, because she marries Bobby Kennedy III and begins to try to get into the movie business with Bobby III, who is a fledgling director who did a movie about Hunter Thompson running for sheriff in in Colorado in the 70s. And she places herself in the lead female role as an actress in this movie. I strongly recommend people watch this film to see where her career could have gone. When the book came out, it was not vetted, by the way, by the CIA, and she was not sued by the CIA. So many people who are CIA watchers feel that she was not leaving the CIA, if you get my drift, Eric.
Well, didn't they put out that tweet right when the books went that there's a fox in the
hen house? In the hen house, yeah.
The CIA Twitter account, folks, not us.
Yeah,
not a random thing.
CIA.gov put it out when the book came out, and she did a massive tour. She then did an entire narco terrorism drug series for like the Discovery Channel, where she was the host. She then tried to move into the movie business. That didn't work. All these different attempts failed. She then latches on to Bobby III and becomes the daughter-in-law of RFK Jr.
Yep.
Okay, who cares? Well, Dennis Kucinich cared, the former congressman of Ohio, who was the campaign manager for RFK Jr. until one day he woke up and he wasn't, and she was. He was out with no explanation. He refused to say why he was ousted. There was no incident. And all of a sudden, this woman who had no experience with politics, political campaigns, or anything else, was now the official campaign manager of a guy running for president whose name was Kennedy. She then changes her name, or adopts the name Kennedy, from her husband, which she hadn't before, where she becomes Amaryllis Fox Kennedy. I told Eric that was going to happen, and of course that indeed did happen a couple of weeks later. She was at the event that I was at there where he quit the race. But nevertheless, I assumed that she would ask for some position in government because campaign managers do get that. I did not think that she would demand to be deputy director of the CIA, to keep an eye on John Ratcliffe, who is a righteous guy and Trump's pick. In addition to that, she would be the eyes and ears of the one going through the JFK files to determine what you people at home might be allowed to read. And finally, the whole thing blew up because Trump finally drove a stake through it today through this proxy of Tom Cotton. There was an article yesterday that Trump was ending this fantasy quest, and today Tom Cotton ended it officially. So I did want to touch on that.
And goodbye. Happy to see that go. All right, to because we've been covering stories for a while, we need to continue on Luigi. He has been officially indicted in New York.
Wow. Okay. This is
as
good.
of today.
This is good. His attorney is the top female, well, not the top woman attorney, defense attorney in New York. She used to be on the prosecution side. And interestingly enough,
I don't hear you. Is that me or is that the? Does everybody hear Mark? I don't hear him. Okay. Oh, I show you muted. Says the mic is unplugged.
bells and whistles here. Okay. So Alvin Bragg is running for re-election, and he has been given a gift and a problem, Eric. The gift is the Luigi case because it's so high profile after coming out off the loss of the Penny case. He's been given a slam dunk case that a retard could win. Okay. But, however, Luigi has countered with the top attorney in New York, who is this woman that his family has hired. Follow this. I'm going with this. So Luigi apparently is going to plead a diminished capacity defense, Eric, that which is AKA temporary insanity. It rarely works, but when it does work, it works among the elite. It works among the wealthy people who get top-notch lawyers to be able to bring in 1 million experts, Eric. To
what was it? A Kennedy one of those that it worked for?
That's right. That's what I was going with. That Kennedy's sister, Kennedy's sister, who drove on Ambien up on through Connecticut unconscious, slamming into the back of a tractor trailer, was able to plead diminished capacity and get off. So yeah, and there's a bunch of these. I could mention someone named Patty Hearst, Eric. I mean, who brought in F. Lee Bailey up in San Francisco, said diminished capacity.
Except she got convicted and later
pardoned, but her case had a machine gun and robbing banks and had some other things. But so does he. He is going to claim, according to sources, internal sources, that with temporary insanity due to drugs and back ailment and mental illness or whatever experts they could bring in, brother.
Well, I mean, he's lining it up beautifully with his snarling and everything with the cops and what have you. So I guess he could get well by the time court comes around. And
well, that's important because when you go for diminished capacity, the government has to prove you're sane.
Well, here's the big risk of it all, though. Like, I was talking to Nate about this. In fact, some people will try to plead that they're insane, and Nate was a prosecutor in New York, and one of his fellow prosecutors had a case against somebody, and the person was threatening, "Oh, you know what? We're going to plead insanity," and the prosecutor said, "Great, please do, go for it," because the reality is, nobody's ever gotten out who's pled insane. It's like, yeah, you go to a hospital instead of the prison, but there ain't no getting out. Everybody needs to watch.
Well, you have a neighbor you might want to take a look at who got out named John Hinckley.
Okay, well, after how long?
No, but I'm saying he's the perfect example because of the wealthy, deep pockets of his family. That's the only time it works is when you have deep pockets because the family will just continue to throw money at the court and continue to throw psychiatric experts into the hopper. Hinckley's a perfect example of it working, and there are others, but it's rare, like Nate said, but when it does work, it's wealthy people's kids.
Sure. But you see, temporary is even better, Mark, because you can say, "Oh, I'm cured already." So why do we have to go through that 20? Why do I have to go through the 30 years?
We'll have time to go into that whole thing with him when the case comes out and they do take this defense, because even Judge Napolitano was saying there is no other defense other than pleading a plea, which I don't think Bragg is going to take because Bragg wants to have his day in the sun and have a court case to make up for this Penny loss.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. He's coming up for a re-election. So
this is a gift from
the
the gods for him.
Yeah.
This is a gift from the gods.
Yep. And he needs to delay it long enough to where he can have the trial starting right after he's reelected. You got to reelect me to oversee this travesty.
By the way, Marchand did not throw out the charges yesterday. There was a court ruling yesterday by Marchand, and he said, screw the Supreme Court, essentially, from what I saw, Eric.
Wow. I mean,
he just said that this ruling by Supreme Court doesn't mean anything to him. He doubled down. In other words, he doubled down yesterday. Now, this could go away with a change of venue or change of leadership in the Southern District. But maybe not. No, maybe not. I don't know how you get rid of this, other than leapfrogging into the United States Supreme Court.
Yeah, your mic bounced again. While you're looking, we've got this guy here who suddenly has been seeing the light of lately, Stephen Smith, who's kind of a left-wing guy. Apparently, he's becoming less left-wing all the time. And
what about Van Jones? What about his analysis? How smart Trump was? Go on, play this one.
When I see Attorney Bragg in New York trying to convince the judge and the courts to treat Donald Trump as if he's deceased, as if he has died, just to make sure that your convictions on those 34 felony accounts remains a part of the record. It just shows another level of patheticness, if that is such a word, that creeps in. Once again, you can't let it go. He is the president-elect of the United States of America. In January 20th, he is going to be the president of the United States. And you want to sit up here and waste taxpayer dollars.
Wow.
And literally go before the courts to do everything you can to make his conviction a matter of record, knowing he ain't going to get any jail time. You're not going to be able to incarcerate him. You're not going to be able to fine him. Sir, it's over. It's over. Democrats, it's over.
He's missing the point.
It's over.
That might be. But
he's a rational voice. I mean, that's a rational voice, but I don't think he understands the reality of what's going on in Democratic heads.
Right. Well, he's not dealing with rational people. Well, fair enough. But I still thought it was interesting. You're right, the Van Jones. I don't have that clip, but yeah, it was funny for a minute and a half. Well, one, he barely got a word in edgewise with his co-host. The guy's going da da da, and then Van Jones is like, "Let's face it, he's smarter than all of us." He did da da da, and the guy's like, "Oh, you're right. It was like a robot talking. But okay, well, we've got a little bit more on Luigi. One, you said this. Sorry, he was indicted. Something about he has a fear of prawn. We can't say the actual word or we get in trouble.
Well, okay, this is his social analysis of society. It's not personal. This was his analysis of American society, talking to a guy about social media. This is not his personal thing. It's a little confused. It's a little confusing. He's talking about social media affecting American society. He's talking about people, males who use the online services and all that stuff, and as debilitating to the culture. This is his analysis of American culture. Well,
it sounds like he's trying to do more Kaczynski, because Kaczynski was dead on with a lot of what's happening now. It just happens to be crazy. And I'm not going to disagree. I think that prawn is rotting the minds of people and is very, very harmful to society, especially with the unknown victimization that a lot of the people performing it isn't necessarily on the up and up, if you will. And there are, giant problems. So,
well, he gave a 2-hour interview with this guy. A 2-hour interview. It was 2-hour conversation of them talking about social media. One of them has a website or a podcast or has Substack. The guy who is the one being interviewed has a Substack account, and he was interviewing him. This is a year and a half ago, I think, or a year ago, before he went full Kaczynski.
Oh, okay. So this interview is out there.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, I think it's out there somewhere. I don't know about that. I'll take that back. It might be on that guy's Substack.
Okay, that would be interesting.
Yeah,
for sure. All right, well then, if you want to get really sick, though, we've got this clothing company founder.
Wow,
who's actually selling merch, and I mean, this is just dark. I believe in free speech, but come on, and people sent this to me on the side too, saying, "Hey, look, they copied our JFK cards." I'm like, "Yeah, this isn't funny. This is obviously."
all I could say is it's bizarre that this guy would be doing that. He looks bizarre. He looks like an incel himself. He looks like a complete weirdo. But this is not the same as what we did with the JFK cards or what I did with the mass murder of baseball cards.
No,
when I did it, it was a political satire against it. What he's advocating is for the cards to be used as wanted posters to track down and do things to these people.
Which actually has been done. The precedent is the U.S. government with the Iraq cards. I don't know if you remember those.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And this guy here in this picture, I swear he looks like he's from Mario Brothers or something.
I know, it's the weirdest picture. It looks like an AI person.
Oh, you've heard of the term NPC, right? Non-player character.
No, I don't know what that is.
Okay, it's a term that's used for idiots that go along with whatever is being said. They're programmed because in a video game, on an adventure game or whatever, there's people going around doing swords and stuff, and then when they go into a shop, they talk to the storekeeper. A storekeeper's called a non-player character. They have a set number of things they're ever going to say. They never deviate from it, and that's where the term came from.
All right.
Well, I mean, it's funny because I know you're probably not into video games. A lot aren't, but then you have the richest guy in the world.
He was. Right. This guy Luigi was too.
Right. Well, the video games are creeping into the culture. I mean, Elon Musk is a major video gamer.
Right.
Which I don't know how the hell he is.
I don't know how he has time for any of that stuff. Maybe
I don't know either. He's doing all this. He's running these companies. He's whispering in Trump's ear. Meanwhile, he's releasing footage of him playing a game on a plane with Starlink on X. I mean, it's just like, I don't know. I feel like he's really a Wizard of Oz character.
Well, did you see that picture I sent you of who's coming up this week of CEOs to meet with Trump?
I did.
The best one for us only is Thursday. I'm rooting for Thursday with the Indian communist. That's my favorite meeting. The Google guy, Eric. I hope the Google has a come to Jesus with Trump and he says, look, stop bigfooting America's untold stories, you piece of crap.
I'm sure he'll actually single us out. I've been waiting for the Donald to come forward. He's been letting us down.
Well, look,
ignoring our issues.
He doesn't have to mention us at all, but I think he's got an ear to the ground of issues like ours related to Google.
For sure he does. I know he does.
Yeah, that's what I'm kidding about. But if you look at this lineup, this is the week where they're all coming to bend the knee, Eric. Look who's showing up, and like his butler answers the door and goes, Zuckerberg's here, sir. He goes, all right, bring him in. Next day, Tim Cook is here, sir. Okay, bring him in. I mean, look at this TikTok guy and then the Netflix guy.
Well, you gotta, this is the funny part. Like, okay, TikTok guy, he's freaking desperate because know that TikTok's deadline is the 19th of January. I mean, literally the last day of Biden's office.
Yeah.
But then, today and Thursday, guess what those are? That's the number 2 today, where it says today. That's the number 2 donor to Kamala Harris. And the Thursday is the number 1 donor to Kamala Harris, if I recall. Number 1 and number 2 to the Harris campaign, Google and Netflix.
That's going to be a little rough.
Yeah, so that conversation might be covered. So at least Amazon, Bezos was throwing out some smoke signals before the election. He was smart enough to say, oh, you know what? We're not going to endorse. Now, I'm not going to say he loves Trump, but I'm saying he's smarter and he knew how to back away from it a little bit.
The guy in the biggest hole, and I know the TikTok thing is financial, but the guy in the biggest political hole is Thursday.
Yes, I think
that commie Indian son of a bitch is in the biggest hole of all 5 of these guys. And I hope Trump really turns the screws on this guy.
Well, he's in an even bigger hole, Mark. And it's not just because of Trump. it's because of the market. Mark my words, Google is in more trouble than people realize because AI, if they're scrambling with their Gemini or whatever to catch up, but AI eliminates the need potentially for search engines. Why do you need to go to Google and search for something to look at ads, which is their entire model, when you could just say, hey, lady in the tube, blah, 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 and it spits back an answer from ChatGPT or whomever they partner with. It just cuts out the entire revenue stream and market for Google. So
well, there's also the multiple attorneys generals monopoly suits that are going on against Google to break them up into smaller letters of the alphabet, I presume.
Right, which they actually encourage because they have more trust and safety violations that are even bigger concern with some of the material they have out there. So there is a lot going on. Google, they're not going to go away tomorrow. They're just too large, but I think that they're in far worse shape.
Yeah, like I said, AT&T got broken up into baby bells, and if you would go back in time in a time machine, you'd be able to buy up the stock of the baby bells, but you'd also talk to people who would say to you, there's not a chance on earth of AT&T being broken up at its peak, Eric. You know what I mean?
Sure.
If you had a conversation with someone in 1959, 1963, they would laugh in your face about the breaking up of AT&T.
True. Now, back to Luigi a little bit. If you didn't think the CEO was bad enough, you actually have people who came up with these.
Yeah. Oh, dude, this is just part of it. Go ahead. Play that. Go ahead.
I don't know the music.
Forget about the music. I don't think you need it, but the line of product, I sent a thing to Eric where it was just t-shirt after t-shirt after t-shirt from multiple companies selling t-shirts. These are candles, obviously, for people praying.
Prayer candles
for this guy. This is possibly the sickest thing I've seen, I don't know, since the Zodiac Ramirez had groupies in court in LA. I mean, when he was put on trial, these girls did show up. The Menendez brothers, it's kind of another area, I guess. They're going to get out. But Ramirez, that killer, had groupies, and
happily dead now, by the way.
Happily dead now, but they were somehow took up every seat of the courtroom.
Yeah. That's hybristophiles. You're going to see them with this Luigi guy as well. And I interviewed Dr. Robert King on that. It's a really weird phenomenon. I personally think, and this is my personal opinion, it's not the shrinks. I think that hybristophiles and teachers, female teachers that do that with their students, aren't that far apart. Because really? I feel like it's a power paradigm, in my opinion, that they, these teachers, they have power over their students and they're taking advantage of this. I think hybristophiles like the idea that they could be with the scariest, creepiest, worst person in the world, but they're safe because they're behind bars.
That is true.
So they can do that. So I don't know.
The second part is true. I don't know about the first part, but that's been explored. The second part you mentioned, where they have power over them because they're in a cage. Ostensibly, it's like a gorilla in a cage that you can control and feed and run and own, In fact, when they do get out, a lot of these relationships, these prison marriages immediately break up.
Oh, yeah. Or if they get too close. Like Charles Manson had, one right at the end or what have you.
Yeah. Oh, well, so do both Menendez brothers. They both, not only do they have wives, the Menendez brothers, they have multiple mistresses. They've been cheating on their prison wives with these mistresses.
They got a lot of time to write letters, dude.
Dear Debbie, I'm so sorry. I met with Donna last week in the commissary. I know it looks bad. However, she was doing an article about me, and I just wanted to give her the time of day.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Well, while we're talking about prisoners, though, I mean, this is going to be a masterful segue. CNN had a little bit of a problem. I don't know if you saw it.
I didn't go into it. I kind of got the gist of it. They were faking some hostage rescue, CNN girl on the go. This chick is so deep state. She's been there longer than anyone. I forget her name. She's so creepy. and it turns out the guy is one of the lead torturers for Assad.
Yes.
Here she is rescuing the Joseph Mengele of Assad's.
Hold on, I have it.
The blanket. Oh, it moved. Is there someone there?
Is there someone there?
This is all staged, by the way, people.
Of course. Cue. All they need is dramatic music.
Or is it just a blanket? I don't know.
Hello?
There's a blanket on the floor.
Let's see what's underneath it. Oh my God. Oh, hold on.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh my.
Let me tell you something. That guy was blending in, bro. That was pretty good.
I'm a civilian, he says. I'm a
Yeah.
civilian. He tells the fighter he's from the city of Humps and has been in the cell for 3 months.
Look at her.
3
Look at
months. He's been the same.
Well, he ran out of people to torture.
I know. And he managed to find hygiene there.
Crunches my arm
Yeah.
tightly
He looks
with both
good.
hands.
Yeah, he does.
Oh, Floppy, come on. Let's lead him out here. Get him to McDonald's.
My. Okay, it's water.
I'm sorry.
That's his own drink. That's his own bottle. I can't stop drinking. Look at him.
Hasn't had water in 5 days, Mark.
5 days. Somehow.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Is that enough?
Anyway, I'm so sorry.
In between, they were plugging Anderson Cooper and Andy Cohen for New Year's Eve while they were doing this.
Oh, that'd be slightly more realistic, but,
Right?
Oh my God. Anyway, that one, that is a beautiful.
I just want to tell you,
beautiful,
there's bad news in the Vanderpump Rules universe, Eric.
Oh.
All the cast has been fired, and they are rebooting with an entire new cast for Vanderpump Rules that absolutely no one will watch.
How can you reboot with a new cast? Is it supposed to be reality TV?
Yeah.
These are real people in a real restaurant? How does that work?
They said that the new people are going to work in the same restaurant.
I see.
Right.
Okay, so
But
how do you
casting
apply
them.
for that job? Is that on the application?
No, they're still casting the show, the reboot of Vanderpump Rules, with people that they haven't hired yet, even to work in the restaurant. So yeah, it's a sham of an enigma of a sham, but it's had to end. It just had to end.
Well, and also, if anyone has ever worked in a restaurant, you don't just hire anybody. One, the turnover rate is insane.
Yeah.
So these people that they hire in for the sham, I mean,
well, how about you working as a server when there's a camera crew right in back of you?
oh yeah,
And every time you go out
well.
you go. Well, no, but they did this for 11 years. I mean, it's not going well. I mean, it was a huge hit. But I'm saying for the new people who are starting there, they go, okay, tonight's your first night. You got the antipasta on table 6. Go ahead, and the crew just follows you over. You know, you finally go out in the break to take a cigarette smoke, and there's a entire crew with you there.
You know, I wonder if you could do that though, realistically, without people following around, with just like GoPros on every pole, like in the restaurant.
They have to do that. They have to do that. That's not out of the question what they do. They have the GoPros in other areas of the restaurant. They do. Mounted. Okay. Like you said, they do. But for the other things, they come in because they need the boom and they need the sound guy. So they do come in with a little 2-man crew.
Wow.
It's a science, bro. It's not, there's far more to it than people think. Let me just put it that way.
Well, I understand that, but I've always said I want to see the reality show of the reality show. Like whatever bullshit fake premise reality show you want to do, I want the show to be about the people who are doing the show, you know, who are feeding the lines and doing whatever, or, you know, doing the little production interviews with them on the side, how they put the drama together, how they determine that. That to me is far more interesting than the initial show.
Well, we also saw like a fake talk show with what's his name a number of years ago on Showtime, the comedian, and it had Rip Torn in it and Janine Garofalo, Gary Shandling, and he was playing the Gary Shandling show, but it was behind the scenes and it was a phony reality show. That kind of was kind of avant-garde then, and then
Okay.
Shandling seemed to have gotten into heroin, and then things happened.
Oh, okay. So he didn't just die of natural causes later on with nothing
No,
like
they said
eating.
that he had a lot of dental work and he needed a lot of Vicodin,
I see.
and he only hung out with Tom Petty, which is kind of odd because comics and musicians don't really hang. And Petty was a heroin addict, and then Shandling, his people just said he, loved opiates because he had dental issues. And I was going like, oh my God.
Interesting. Okay. And Tom Petty, people didn't know he was a heroin addict until he died. I mean, maybe
he was, let me tell you something.
people
That
did.
was the best cover of a celebrity in Hollywood history is Petty's heroin. The only reason I know about it was because I knew his daughter, who told me extensively about problems with him for years as a heroin addict. So kind of an inside story, but he did cover it up masterfully.
And is that, unusual? I've never heard of anybody.
Well,
covering it so
one
much.
time he lived here in the Hollywood Hills, and Shandling was always there with him. I assume they were doing drugs together, but he did burn his recording studio to the ground one night, nodding out on heroin. So there was that. And then, of course, his family said, which is one of the rock and roll go-to things. He had bad knees, from playing all the time, and bad feet and bad knees. But he loved his fans so much that he took a lot of pain meds just to perform for you. And
he and Prince both.
It's a common rock and roll thing now. I'm telling you, that's one of the go-to storylines.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a go-to. It's by the PR team that does it, but nevertheless, Vanderpump Rules is gone. But there is The Valley, and it's a spinoff, and it doesn't really compare. I'll just leave it at that way.
Okay. Well, back to the news here. Adams' top aide, Ingrid Lewis Martin, expected to be indicted amid her sudden resignation. Swirling Pope.
Of course, many people in New York immediately laughed out loud when they saw this headline because Lewis and Martin, of course, is the famous shorthand for Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin, one of the greatest comedy duos of all time. So every person who knew that in show business just cracked up laughing seeing that headline of Lewis Martin. Anyway, to get to the story itself, apparently they're picking apart his team one by one to take them down, but Trump dropped the hint of a pardon yesterday, Eric.
Yeah, that's why I had him lined up, because it was like everybody around Adams may go down, but Adams himself may pick up that pardon and kind of scurry away.
Right. The beauty of this was Homan meeting with Adams. The indictment of Adams has put Adams in a precarious position where Trump can now help him and get Adams onto his side, have him switch back to Republican, have him run for re-election, have him help him with the illegal aliens, have a Republican leaning mayor in a blue city. This may be the biggest coup d'etat of the entire election. If they can get Adams pardoned and have him on Trump's side, you can ostensibly take over New York, bro. Okay?
That would be good. That'd be good.
Now, I'll have to say this. Maud Maron, who is a friend of the show, she was on the show before. I don't know if you remember her, Eric. She was on the Board of Education. She was being censored by the Board of Education because she wasn't woke enough. Do you remember she came on the show? We had her on
briefly. Was it 2 years ago or something?
We had her on a couple of years ago. Her name is Maud Maron. She's from Brooklyn, a Jewish woman. She's coming on the show this Friday for about 15 minutes, 6 o'clock. I meant to tell you anyway, but we might as well announce it now. I'm sorry, I forgot. I'm sick as a dog. She's coming on because of one reason. She's throwing her hat in the ring to run for DA against Alvin Bragg.
Oh,
and
nice.
I thought that our audience can help her raise money like this audience can for her attempt to take down this beast in New York. So we're going to have Maud on. She, like I said, on Friday at 6 o'clock Eastern time for about 15 minutes to talk about her campaign.
Fair enough. And by the way, folks, the show will probably be a bit shorter today. We apologize, but Mark isn't feeling well. We're scraping it together.
I'm in a rough spot today. This is I touched somebody. Dude, did you see that thing blowing up in LA, by the way, that explosion of the clouds? I think I might have sent it to you. It just broke yesterday. There's some incredibly insane explosion down in Compton. I don't know if you got a copy of it or not, but we'll get to that a little later in the show.
I don't have that. I have so many things, but
did you get to see the Oregon flight display of all the airplanes with the air traffic controllers talking about the drones yesterday up in the northeast corner of the country in Oregon? Around the capital of Oregon, they are all landing or attempting to, and all of them are talking to air traffic control in real time, all talking various flights, and they're showing which plane is talking in real time about these unidentified flying objects that they're witnessing. Just different pilots, and they're going, okay, go. Each time they did it, the air traffic control woman says, I don't see it on my thing, but drop to X amount of feet if you feel more comfortable. And all of them are just reporting. This is all over the state. It was an interesting look at how big the problem was.
Wow. I know I have the snow, but anyway. Well, before we're still working to get to the drone story, which is the headline.
Yeah, we'll get.
We've got here. I don't think this is going to work to convert Bobby De Niro, but
this was great. This was
Bobby, your favorite president / Time Magazine Person of the Year. I want to talk to you. You haven't made a good movie in over 20 years. I want a small cameo in Meet the Fockers 6. Together, we can make movies great again. Believe me, Bobby. Believe me.
Okay. Oh, is he still going?
I want to talk to you. Just a nice little conversation, right? That's right. Okay. So I guess Bobby wasn't home. I'm going to leave him with a little party gift. My new fragrance, Fight, Fight, Fight. It's a great Christmas gift along with a cameo from yours truly. No better gift for Christmas than a Merry Christmas from Donald Trump. Hello, sir. What's that? Film him. Film him. I'm not supposed to what? Okay, that's okay. That's okay. You can call the police if you want. Okay, that's right.
Okay.
I'm gonna leave a
Great
little
answer.
right here.
Great answer. Anyway, I said this to you a year ago. His act would be better if he wore the wig, shirt, and tie. And now he's doing it, apparently.
But that's not Sean Ferris. Dude.
No, but I'm saying Ferris would benefit from this guy's same thing, wearing the shirt, tie, and wig.
Oh, well, for sure. And Ferris is even better. So he's so spot on. But yeah, no, I agree.
But he's good too.
Yeah, no, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got there's so damn many of them. Okay, I saw this. I don't know if you saw it. It's hold on. Stop. I've got updated computers, which are going crazy as usual. All right, here we go.
Alert.
Now, this is a live look now. The sun is up there in that state, and police have now detained 14 people in reported armed home invasion. That's the same apartment complex where a lot of people were complaining about the armed Venezuelan gang members roaming the halls. Reports indicate that investigators said that several suspects entered the apartment and had 2 people inside. The suspects then reportedly moved the victims to another apartment complex, or rather another unit on the property where police said they were found threatened and bound. An adult man sustained a non-life-threatening stab wound. At the moment, police say it's unclear if the suspects are connected to the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, but we'll get a live report in Colorado 30 minutes away and bring you the latest on that developing story. Okay, Aurora, Colorado now. This is a live look now. The sun is up there in that state, and police have now detained 14.
Anyway,
it's the same one. Yeah. Look, I mean, they got like 30 days left until Trump comes after them. This guy Paulus in Colorado is going to have to bend the knee because they're going to take down these people in these homes. They're going to go in there with armed ICE agents and do battle with them. I mean, these might end up in shootouts, Eric. Not this particular one. But just taking down these violent gangs. That's what Homan is most afraid about, is this hand-to-hand combat with these, and I'm serious, with these militarized gangs. I mean, the regular guy who's got a wife and kid, who's got, some criminal record may go easily. But this is going to be a little trickier, Eric.
Well, this is the chief.
Were accosted by approximately 13 to 15 armed individuals. They were pistol whipped, they were beat, they were mistreated. One of the male was actually stabbed, he had a stab wound.
Okay.
So does that fall in the category of torture for me? Yeah, it does. There is a high assumption that they may be affiliated with the TDA gang. I had a discussion with an individual from the White House. And that occurred back on September the 23rd, I believe. And that person basically told me that, hey, once these immigrants get across the border, that's all we really care about.
Wow.
And to me, that's a problem.
Wow. Those are powerful words.
Wow.
I had to share that.
No, that's wonderful. That's really good. I mean, this is the same guy who said there was no problem a couple months ago, though. And the mayor said there was no problem. There was a woman there who was his superior who said there was no problem in Aurora. Both the two major officials in Aurora try to cover this thing up for the election, I think.
Amazing stuff. All right, now this one, I'm going to leave it to you to tell me about this, because all I think about is Nick Cave and the deadly yellow snow when I see this.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know what to make of this. And then if you read the article, it turns out that some liquor distillery was spraying liquor up into the smokestack, and liquor was snowing onto the great citizens of this town. It was just raining or snowing liquor. I don't even know how else to explain it.
Let me see if
I think it was bourbon.
Well, I mean, technically, I didn't think alcohol would freeze. That's why people stick it, like vodka in the freezer. So how did it become snow?
I think the fire, the exhaust from the factory, from the tower, went up into the clouds, and then snow was coming down, turned to brown, and ostensibly mixed together from the brown from the smokestacks.
Okay.
It's just a weird story in a weird town. I don't know if they got drunk from the snow or what the deal was there, but
all right. And you sent me this. It's your two new friends in LA are on the job.
Oh yeah, look at this. Was last night. Holy crap. I mean, if you could play it, first of all, let me tell you, I'll set it up a little bit. This is Hawkman's first press conference. There was a woman in Calabasas, the wife of a doctor whose name is unpronounceable. Her name is the same name. That's unpronounceable. She hired a bunch of hitmen to kill her doctor husband. And they were arrested. And now she was arrested. Hawkman is going to say this is his first crime as DA that he's dealing with. But maybe we could play a little bit.
He could say the name. I was.
I don't know. He has to. Eric. He has to say it like 5 times in the press conference.
Filed in the murder case of Dr. Hamid Mirshojai. The charges today have been filed against his ex-wife, Ahang Mirshojai. She has been charged with effectively hiring a hitman, a gentleman named Evan Hardman, who's been previously charged with murder and assault with a deadly weapon. As the accusations go against Ms. Mirshojai and Mr. Hardman, is that back on August 23rd, Mr. Hardman, having been hired by Ahang Mirshojai, goes ahead to a parking lot in Woodland Hills, the parking lot at which Dr. Hamid Mirshojai had his medical practice. He was driven, as the accusations have alleged, by Ashley Sweeting, someone else who has been charged,
common name,
and at this point also arraigned, and has pled not guilty. She brought Mr. Hardman to that parking lot. He at that point goes ahead and engages in the act of murder, as the charges have so alleged.
Well, if I could interject, while his patients were all watching from up above in the window of his office.
Wow.
Yeah. Go Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say, just credit to him for being able to say that over and over and over.
Dude, he says it 5 more times before he turns it over to the LAPD chief of police. The oddity is this: I know both of these guys. One, Hawkman, has been on the show here with Eric and I, and the other guy, I helped fundraisers for him a number of years ago. Also a conservative Republican. So in the span of one election, we have now a district attorney who's a conservative Republican and a chief of police who's a conservative Republican. Everyone told me to cut and run, you know, and now we're starting to see the fruits of some of the labor that people who are from here, including people like Harmeet Dillon and others who are California based, are starting to turn. I think she was California.
I thought Harmeet is in New York. Ron
I
Coleman
think she was
worked
out
for
of
the
San
firm.
Diego or something. But nevertheless, there's a lot of people who are now moving into the administration who are from California. One of which, who may be running for governor, may be coming the other way, Eric, a former presidential candidate.
Oh, yeah.
May have tossed her hat into the ring as predicted by this office over 6 months ago. Articles today, this past week, floating around as many of you have seen that Kamala Harris is thinking about running for governor of California. Hopefully, and I said this to the people in the Kennedy camp this morning, that they can counter with Nicole Shanahan, who has very deep pockets. So it could be woman versus woman and money versus money, because Kamala Harris can walk into the governorship based on what is up against her right now. I'll just extend my prediction.
Hopefully she runs against a wall. It feels like a trial balloon, though. Like it's a.
It is,
but
she's never had a job, and there's nowhere for her to go politically, and there's no opposition. I mean, all three things make it an easy move.
Well, I think she could spend time with her stepchildren. I'm voting for that.
Well, look, I'm hoping she doesn't do it, but it's a no-brainer politically, at least. But she's got no brainer, so she might not connect the dots and do it.
All right, well, you know, I'm going to connect this to the country she grew up in, which is Canada.
Okay.
And
maybe she could replace someone in Canada, Eric.
I'm good with that, too. I'm sorry to the Canadian audience there. Okay. Canada has a bill 63C now. Remember, Jordan Peterson came on the scene because I think it was Bill C-16 or something like that.
Right.
This is either 63C or C-63, something like that. But it's about regulating YouTube and all the online stuff. But guess what? They're not going to worry about regulating. Let's just watch for a minute.
Okay.
Because this is a head scratcher.
If YouTube's categorized or covered by 63C, returning to Senator Roberts' question, what is Pornhub covered by? Why wouldn't it be? It's just explicit material, but it's.
Yes. Don't think what are we going to do, boys? What? So trouble.
The first thing on 63C1A is that the platform's sole or significant purpose is to enable online social interaction.
But if YouTube's covered, I mean, it has a video sharing for non-explicit content, video content, why wouldn't Pornhub be covered? Is Pornhub covered?
I think they have very different purposes.
Yeah.
Explain that to me. Yeah. Oh, wow.
Sorry, I think this is
under the definition. We wouldn't see Pornhub as falling within scope. It's not seen as social media.
Just explain to me in simple terms how, if YouTube is covered, how would another video sharing service with explicit material, admittedly, not be covered?
So
again, we didn't get a check.
Back to the commitment that the government's already made in relation to
I'm not
YouTube.
asking for a commitment. I'm asking in the law. We got to pass the law, not government's commitments. So in the law, how are these two services different?
I think YouTube and Pornhub are completely different.
I agree with that.
All right, I agree.
How are they differently defined in the law?
Well, Pornhub is a site for accessing pornography, which children are not permitted to access.
Show me in the law where that is excluded.
Well, it comes back to the evidence before about how Pornhub is subject to a suite of other rules and regulations.
Again,
and
is that in the law?
And it's also not in. And I just want to sort of go through this very carefully.
I love
Pornhub.
Pornhub.
Whether Pornhub is treated as a.
Anyway, I'm just kind of going
in circles.
And this might actually be Australia. Who is this?
Oh, is this Australia?
I don't know, but it's just so insane. I mean, it makes your head explode. Oh, Australian law.
Wow. They want that Pornhub. They got to get rid of YouTube.
No, that's fine. No need to monitor that or anything. Why don't you want to monitor? Oh, maybe because you're using it. I mean,
everybody here loves Pornhub and hates YouTube.
You have to admit, it is a remarkable change, Aaron. I apologize. It is Australia. It's still nutty. However, our friends up north may be changing leadership.
What?
Yeah, it's looking very, very bad. I mean, Viva has to be celebrating, but apparently Justin Trudeau, or yesterday, the finance minister, on the day that she was supposed to be turning in the budget or whatever, something like that, she resigned. And I guess Justin Trudeau had told her he wanted her in another job anyway. It's Freeland. And she, being smart, just said, "Oh, you know what? You don't. I don't have your confidence. Bye-bye." So then the next person down the line who would have to present this resigned as well.
Oh boy.
And Pierre Poilievre or whatever is sitting there. Finance minister has to say, "What? Where? Where's the?" And he's just having a grand old time. Is it Jagmeet or Jagmeet? I don't know. Singh has finally said that Trudeau needs to resign, so he's lost his partner in crime.
Right.
And it doesn't look like Trudeau's going to be here for his re-election attempt.
Wow, this might be an incredible election year of all time.
Yeah, it might, especially because they're crediting Trump for bullying Trudeau out of office. Because
I just want to add that Schultz in Germany lost a no confidence vote yesterday also. So he may be out in Germany.
Perfect.
Yeah, so you may be seeing a domino effect that you're mentioning, Eric.
It can't be. They're saying when Trump threatened the tariffs and Trudeau ran down to Mar-a-Lago, that's when everything started to slide into place. So it is very, very, very interesting.
Wow. Just like I predicted, the last 6 months of this year are going to be the craziest in American history.
And Dustin,
I agree.
In the UK is struggling.
Starmer from the Third Reich. His days, he may have to replace Schultz in Germany, Starmer.
Yeah, he might have to. People are saying the replacement's even worse, though. So,
well, we'll see. I mean, with Trump back in power, though, that will rein them in quite a bit.
Okay, well, let's shift over to there's a non-confidence vote coming up, according to Helena here, who's one of our Canadian.
I just want to say, Jordan Peterson moving to the United States, I made a joke on Twitter that people took seriously. I said that he'll be staying with Viva until he gets settled. And people took that as serious. I mean, you can't make this up. I mean, I try to be nicely funny on Twitter, but it goes off the rails half the time.
I was a celebrity.
Right. I had my account locked yesterday morning because I simply was questioning, like I said, why Mangione did not go after a medical doctor and kill them instead of a CEO. They locked my account over that philosophical question. I didn't say it was a question. I didn't say go kill somebody, but it had something in it that apparently Musk and the algorithm is still working on.
They just said Mark is going to have to block himself.
I have to block myself on Twitter because apparently I don't know how to run the thing.
Right. Well, all right. Well, let's shift to the main story. We've also got some super chats to go through.
Okay, we could do both.
All right. There's so much going on with this that we've been collecting over the days or whatever. Starting off, there was the question about the mothership. Iran. Apparently, Iran, when they have their drone fleets, they use a converted container ship.
Okay.
And I don't know. Have you ever seen a container ship in real life?
Yeah, down in Long Beach.
Okay, well, they have them out here, and they are massive.
Oh no, we have all off the coast here all the time from China.
Yeah,
in fact, there's a direct line to China of the ships in the sea in the Pacific.
Yep, and those suckers are huge, so it can hold a lot of damn drones.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. But let's. Why don't we do what you're doing? Why don't we work this thing backwards and see what doesn't make sense? How about that?
Okay.
Just in terms of eliminate the. Eric and I will do. This is unrehearsed. I'm sick as a dog, but there's a lot of information, and I thought maybe it's easier if we work in reverse and use the process of elimination, Eric.
Okay.
And okay, so let's start with that thing that you're talking about.
Okay, the
Iranians. Let's say, all right, what's the deal? Let's say Iranians with their tugboat full of drones.
Well, supposedly we lost track of it. That it was.
All right, let me interject. That's insane. That's
there.
insane.
Yeah.
That's insane. Right, you're correct.
Right.
But let's just say what's insane in terms of these stories. Eric is correct. They said we lost track of it. Of course, that's an insane technological story that is bizarrely insane and stupid. Okay, go on.
Okay, and supposedly it could have come over here, blah, blah, blah. Again, I have trouble thinking about us being okay with Iranian drones flying over. How much we give them cash?
Right, don't go there yet. Just start with where you were of losing the ship, because that was another beat in the story. That somehow off the coast of New Jersey is the Iranian mothership. If you follow this out, you got to, because there's a lot of psyops going on here. There's a lot of deep state activity here, and there's a lot of storylines that they have not spent much time logically stretching out, because they have a time limit on this psyops. So the one that Eric's talking about, the idea of losing the ship with our radar technology, satellites, everything on the earth is preposterous. But let's move on from there.
Especially when, again, have any of you seen a container ship?
Right.
It's the size of a small city, okay?
Right.
I mean, it's just, it is hard to miss. We have satellites above. We have every tracking mechanism. These are fleet lines. Yeah, it's very, 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 very.
Take that. Let's just kill the Iranian thing right off. Okay.
Okay.
Let's say these are Iranian drones. Why would we tolerate thousands and thousands of Iranian drones flying over here for no reason?
I agree. We wouldn't.
Okay.
I mean,
Right. So the Iranian thing is a stretch. You would agree?
100%.
Okay. I got to take you back to, October 12th, 2024. October 12th, Wall Street Journal ran a front page, huge article. The headline was, "Mystery drones swarm U.S. military base for 17 days. Pentagon is stumped." Now, this is right in your backyard, Hunley. So for 17 days over your house, drones flew, and these are hundreds of drones. There's a general named Mark Kelly. Mark Kelly went to Langley. I'm talking about Langley Air Force Base, right where you are. And he stood on the roof. This is the headline. And this got lost in the election. This is part of what I'm going to try to get into, and we'll get into
We
it.
covered this.
Yeah, we covered it, but it got lost in the national story because of a lot of stuff going on. Mark Kelly, the general, not the astronaut, got on the roof. If you get in the article, if you read the article, got on the roof of one of the buildings there and watched wave after wave of drones coming into Langley. And he was shocked at their formations. And is that
I
Kelly?
think that's Mark Kelly here.
Kelly's a former fighter pilot and a lot of air experience. And he
Nope,
was
that's Van Herk.
Okay, I don't know who this is, but Mark Kelly, not to be confused.
Oh, he led the military response to the Chinese balloon. That's who this guy is.
Right. Okay, so that's another story we'll touch on. Kelly gets on the roof with binoculars and he watches night after night, because they're coming in waves and they're in formation. And it's not like you're seeing in Jersey. This was triangular formation of literally 100 drones. Okay. What Kelly does is he says, all right, we got to move out these F-22 Raptors, which are underneath little huts right by your house. We have a total of 183 Raptors in the entire country. I think they probably have about 80 right at your Air Force Base at Langley, or 60. Okay. What Kelly figures out is kamikaze drones that have explosive on the bottom could literally go underneath these little garage roofs that the Raptors are in and simultaneously detonate and blow out our entire force of Raptors. So Kelly orders them to be removed from Langley. This is from this event. There's no explanation as to where these drones came from in this major drone event, as covered by the Wall Street Journal, and it kind of disappears, the story, because of the election. And this is
this is equally or more significant to keep in mind. You mentioned the F-22s. They're showing the Newport News shipbuilding here.
Yes.
No, this is very significant because this is I believe the only authorized nuclear power repair center, if you will. This is the place where they work on nuclear warships.
Yeah, absolutely true. Yeah.
If it got hit, I mean, it's a weird piece of trivia that's kind of dubious, but there is more nuclear power where I live in this area between the Surrey nuclear plant, multiple ships that are all nuclear, multiple subs that are all nuclear, Newport News shipbuilding. This is like the biggest pile of nuclear power in the world.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And it's also something that was on the tip of the spear of this story that went under the radar, even though the Wall Street Journal was covering it. Now, that being said, let me show you the author of that article. It's a guy who wrote this article. I don't know if you can see a picture of this guy. His name was Gordon Lubold. Gordon Lubold is the author of this piece. He's a spook writer. He works in Spookville. And he put out this piece. This is a piece that is something that Lubold worked on for a while. And he worked with the Wall Street Journal. He also works with military defense industry articles and things of that nature. This was the beginning of it. The Chinese red balloon, which I don't even think was Chinese, by the way, now that I look at it, is part of this entire operation that's been going on now. Well, let's move up the coast a little bit to Jersey, Eric, because we're going to get into these Jersey drones now and see what's going on here. The governor of New Jersey, Murphy, who is also up for re-election, possibly as president of the United States, was literally the first one on this story as a political figure. And Murphy began to contradict himself, saying these are harmless, nothing to worry about. This is a danger. Don't shoot them down.
I don't know what they are, but they're harmless.
I don't know what they are. They're harmless. I'm having a meeting. He's been all over the map on this thing. They now sent him a drone. It's a device that supposedly tells you there's a drone in the area. It's kind of a radar device. They gave one to Hochul up in New York. It's kind of a parting gift from the Biden administration. He's really happy that he got this thing now, Murphy. But there's a couple of places up there, up north, that I wanted to talk to you about. And people from Jersey know this better than me. It's the Naval Weapons Station Earl, which is up there where many of the sightings have been seen. This station is an ammunition station, and we had covered this, I think, when we did the story on the munitions explosion, Eric, in World War I. This is possibly the largest munitions, because you were talking about nuclear. This particular spot here in New Jersey, if you could see that fork, that Poseidon
like a trident.
It's like a trident. Okay, that comes out from the coast of New Jersey, and the reason that's out there is because the munitions are so explosive that the ships have to pull into those two slots to load up with munitions because of the explosive nature of munitions. That is off the coast, not even off the coast. It's an extension of the Naval Weapons Station Earl. Now, Weapons Naval Station Earl is possibly in the middle. If you could show this map that I gave you of the sightings, there was a little map that I think if you could blow up, you could possibly see in northern New Jersey where this naval station, here we go. Yeah. Sorry, I'm a little winded today. It's kind of, I have to blow this up a little bit to see where it is here. Right over here. You see this? Okay. This is where Naval Weapons Station Earl is, and it goes all the way out to here where we're seeing those two.
I can't see where you're talking about. Just tell me right side of the map.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm hitting it with my cursor like a retard.
Anyway.
I can't move my.
Well,
cursor.
there's Asbury Park over here.
What am I supposed to do? It says Naval Weapons Station, or to the left.
Oh, here it is.
Yeah, there it is. Okay. If you go to the tributary, you see the tributary above it, Eric? Trace that tributary out to the ocean. There you go. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Okay. That's how the ships get their munitions for the entire East Coast United States Navy, because it's so explosive. They come out there. The sightings, if you pull that map down a little bit, the sightings, yeah, there you go. The sightings in bulk are to the left of the munitions station right there, and then up north, right next to that fork that was in the water. Okay, these are the bulk of the sightings of the drones over these two military bases. It's one military base, but it's two specific things. The rumor came out the other day, yesterday, that they were searching for nuclear waste, or this is a good one. Yeah, Naval Station Earl goes back to the Civil War, by the way.
Look what's up here.
What's that? Yeah, and in fact, Trump is not going there now because of the threat to his golf area and his house that's up there. He's supposed to go there this weekend. This Station Earl goes back to the Civil War, where they had to get it so far away from the Confederate because they were blowing up our munitions depots. And it's been there since 1860 or something like that. Anyway, make a long story short, there was a rumor about the drones possibly being nuclear sniffing. We're just trying to get rid of some of these stories before we could get into what we think it is. There was a rumor yesterday about nuclear sniffing drones. I don't even know what that means, that they were looking for nuclear devices that may have gone rogue.
Well, there is a missing nuke off of out of a New Jersey base, from what I understand.
I don't know anything about that. But this particular thing was a cargo ship, a cargo container that thieves broke into and stole the PET scan devices. I drilled down on this. Yeah. So in the PET scan devices is a tiny bit of radium, Eric, to get a PET scan. So this story started to spread, and it's being spread by schmucky mayors in New Jersey, by the way, who were on with Chris Cuomo yesterday. This is the craziest story yet.
Yeah, this is the 15th and the nuclear story. Hiding a potential attack.
Right. So in reality, what happened was some thieves broke into a cargo thing and stole the PET scans, which they could sell to hospitals, and there's some radium in there. But I just wanted to tell you about, because I started to think about these nuclear sniffing drones, right? And I thought about an organization that I tried to get made into a TV show years ago here in Hollywood called Nest. And it was a nuclear emergency search team. And I pitched this TV show about the nuclear emergency search team as a weekly show, Eric, as a weekly show. And it was I thought it was pretty good. They didn't know what I was talking about, so everybody passed on it. But the nuclear emergency search team started in 1974 when Gerald Ford was going to Boston, and somebody said they had a nuclear device in Boston that they were going to detonate to blow up the city, and they wanted $1.2 million in a ransom, or they were going to blow up the city of Boston. And they canceled Ford's trip to Boston for this thing. It's now called the Nuclear Emergency Support Team, but it used to be called the Nuclear Emergency Search Team. It was $1.2 million. It was a hoax. But Ford sent up these vans with radiological devices that supposedly, this is Nest. Yeah, and it's now Support Team. It used to be Search Team. I guess it got politically correct or something. But they look for loose nukes also, Eric. You know, they've been involved in missiles that have fallen out of planes and everything else. But the origin was looking for nuclear device with these sniffing devices that didn't work. Okay, and the thing was an embarrassment. That was the origin, the creation of Nest is where that's the only reason I wanted to mention that. This sniffing thing is not really a thing. Okay, so now you've got a situation where you're seeing thousands and thousands of drones every single night around the country. The Pentagon had a briefing today. The guy said there's 1 million drones in the country, and that
that was such. Hold on.
Right. Did you? Kirby. I knew. Not the Kirby one. It was the military, the Pentagon's press spokesperson.
No, Kirby. Kirby said that to Brett Baer about.
No, I know, but I'm saying there was a presser today. There's a separate presser of the Pentagon regular daily briefing. The Pentagon, not with Kirby, with the general.
All right. Well,
but the information is the same.
All right. Well, let me do Kirby, and then I've got another clip of Mayorkas, I think.
Hear all of these officials. You've heard a lot of concern, a lot of coverage. Where are you tonight on this?
As we look at the information we've got, Brett, and we've now examined some 5,000 different sightings, we've added detection capabilities, additional observers. As you and I stand here today, to date, our assessment is that this is lawful, legal, commercial, hobbyist, and even law enforcement aircraft activity. Some of it's manned, some of it's unmanned. We absolutely acknowledge that.
By the way, there are no manned drones. A manned drone would be called a plane.
A lot of these are probably drones, but they're flying legally, and it is legal to fly drones in non-restricted airspace as long as you're registered with the FAA. And there's thousands and thousands of these kinds of flights every single day. I think there's
biggest pile of bullshit ever. So literally, he's saying me and other people like me are behind half of it.
Right. But I mean, it's funny because the 8,500 number is for every day. But think about the whole country. It's an insanely, he's trying to say it's a lot, but in fact, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
8,500 is nothing. That's insane. There's 8,500 sightings this weekend in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
If you follow what I'm saying. So let's see how they planned, getting back to Mark Kelly, what they plan to do about these drones. They started to explain how they couldn't deal with them, and their explanations are all weak. One of them was shooting it down with a cruise missile, a $1 million missile for a $2,000 drone. Okay, that's out. The next explanation was that if you shot it down, it could fall on someone and kill them. Okay, so that's out. This is them saying why they can't get rid of them. Okay, the tracking devices don't work, so that's out. They came up with the idea of using a Scooby-Doo kind of net with a helicopter to catch them all. But their answer was, we need more money for that. We're not ruling that one out, but we need more money to make that one work. So they weren't ruling that one out. Then there was simply, which Trump mentioned, following them. And they had to, this was the weakest one of their arguments, because they said, we scrambled them, we scrambled jets, but they got away. And I was like, what is this? What do you mean these scrambled jets? Well, they got away. This is in Langley. This is the Langley version of why they couldn't do anything for 17 consecutive nights only. Okay. Their excuses got weaker and weaker and weaker as the story went on and on and on. And the story being is that they're claiming now posse comitatus is they're violating the civil rights of America. This is how far it went. They violated the Fourth Amendment, and it's posse. They can't get involved. I swear to you, this explanation was given on numerous sites, and from Langley, that you would be violating American citizens' rights to private property. And this, I swear to you, and they used the example. If a killer came onto a military base, a shooter, an active shooter, they are legally allowed to take them out. And or if they saw the bombs on the drone, they'd be legally allowed to shoot them down. But other than that, it's in violation of posse comitatus.
That's a complete, utter, lie.
Of course.
And, no, I'm just saying, I literally had to test to get a license for this shit. And guess what? We don't own anything above us. The FAA literally owns 100% of the airspace. All they have to do is say, you're unauthorized, take it down, land that now. They don't land it, they can shoot it. I mean, that is a utter horseshit lie beyond everything. I mean, I don't own the air above my house.
They admitted they sent up F-16s with refueling tankers in pursuit of these.
Why? That would be the stupidest thing in the world. You'd use a helicopter because
telling you
drones
what
aren't
they
that
said.
fast.
I'm
I
just-
know.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just saying that
Yeah, I'm just-
that is an asinine idea
They
because they're not
claim-
that fast. A helicopter or even a prop plane would make more sense. They're faster than the damn drone.
I'm just saying they claim that these drones, the ones in the Wall Street Journal article, were going 100 miles an hour.
That's slow.
Okay, well, normal of 40, right? 40, 60. Anyway, these were all 20-foot drones, and a Patriot missile would be a waste of money, they said, to take it out.
I agree. You have a
No, but
helicopter with a machine gun
these
on it.
stories they came up with, you're supposed to agree. You're
Yeah.
supposed to agree.
Yeah.
Right. You're not supposed to disagree with these stories.
Oh,
but as Trump said yesterday, the government knows where they are and where they're coming from, and they could follow it back to a guy's garage if that was necessary. The point is, why aren't they saying anything? So they asked
Hey,
Trump.
he's getting briefed. I mean, I'm sure he has all the info.
He wouldn't admit to being briefed.
Mm.
Right. Because in that brief is the answer. So he didn't want to say, I got briefed and I ain't going to tell you. So he said, I'm not going to discuss whether I was briefed or not. And that was his way of getting out of this thing. But he got his message out anyway, Trump, saying they know where these, I mean, think about it. Where are they going after they're done? Where are they going?
Well, dude, I have a drone. Anybody who has a drone will tell you that they don't have that much range. The batteries like dying the second I started. Ones are probably better designed, but again, they don't have that much range. Following them, perfect idea. They got to go down sometime.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's so obviously our drones.
Right.
And I don't know what the hell they're doing or what the purpose is.
Well, I think I figured it out.
What's that?
I'm going to tell you it right now. Okay, yeah, like you said, no. Okay, let me explain this because I'm running out of gas myself here, so I got to cut to the chase. These are red cells that we're doing right now. These red cells that are operating are kind of like the equivalent of war games or a white hat hacker attack. They brought in a group to do this, to test our own defenses. Now it's more than that. It's more than that because other agencies are involved for other reasons. I'm going to get into the other reasons. Intelligence agencies are looking to see how the population reacts. There's legal reasons. These are for obvious reasons. These are all happening in blue states. Everyone involved, like the COVID thing, are all blue. The governors are blue. This is Connecticut with Blumenthal. This is Hochul with New York. This is Murphy in New Jersey. This is Virginia, but mostly a blue region, blue swath here. And if this happened in Alabama or Mississippi, they probably would have shot him out of the sky. And that's just a fact of American life militarily. This situation is a red cell, and I'm going to go into the details of why I think it's a red cell and what I see for the future of this operation. This has waited so long into the fourth quarter of the final year of this thing is because they want to get legislation passed. The legislation they're trying to pass would be the Patriot Act equivalent of drones. The drone situation right now is all over the map. When you go to get a drone in New York, you have to go to the police department. I don't know, whatever you did here is different than whatever did. In New York City, you want to buy a drone, you want to register a drone. You have to go to the police department in New York and get a permit and then register with the FAA. All over the country, it's a patchwork quilt of different laws, different heights. Newton, Mass, you can't go below 400 feet. You have to go above 400 feet according to the government. It's a patchwork quilt. The reality of it is, how did this get going? There's a situation that happened, which was a year ago. I just wanted to tell you about this, where they signed up with a company called NARTP, the National Aerospace Research and Technology Park, Eric. And a guy came in named Mark Lobin. He's a former retired U.S. Air Force Major General. He was put in charge of this. There's a group out of Egg Harbor Township, right next to that base over there. And Lobin replaced a guy named Sam Young. And what was the purpose of Logan coming into this group? This group was allowed by the U.S. military to be the red cell tests of drones in this corridor, using the drones to test our defenses, because I couldn't find out what the company was. I couldn't complete my theory for the past week until I found this company. And where did I find this company? It was some reporter in the press conference today with the Pentagon about 2 hours ago brought this up, and the guy almost shit his pants. And he started to shuffle saying, no, it's not them. We have a normal relationship with this company, National Aerospace Research and Technology Company out of New Jersey. They're the ones who are, in other words, they need a corporation, a cutout, Eric, because it's not military. These are corporations that they have farmed out this war games type defense movement to, not their own. And they're the ones who are launching these things. And it leads you to this bill, which I'm going to show you here, which I can put on locals. This is called Safeguarding the Homeland and the Threats Posed by Unmanned Aircraft Systems Act of 2023.
2864.
It's called Senate Bill 1631. This
There's
bill,
a House bill that it's
Right,
been going on, been trying to ban Chinese
Right.
drones.
So these bills were dead nearly 2 years ago. These were dead and buried. What this is attempting to lead to is this massive Patriot Act bill and a House and the Senate, which is put in by Mike Johnson, by the way, and Ron Johnson on the other side. This would take control nationally of all things drone. And they're going to put little things in there at the end. There's all kinds of different rules and regulations in here about what you can and cannot do regarding if this bill gets passed. And I'll just read some of them to you. In general, the actions authorized under subsection C that may be taken by state, local, tribal, territorial law enforcement, the Department of Justice, and any owner or operator of an airport or critical infrastructure are limited to actions during the operation of unmanned aircraft. It goes on to highlight the rules and regulations of their future drone world, because the future of air, as Eric and I have discussed, of air fighting, as we're seeing in Ukraine and we're seeing in Russia, is drone air forces. So this is a huge issue to the military. This is a giant issue. And if you read in between the lines of what every politician has been saying quietly, which nobody's focused on, here's Governor Murphy. This is from the 13th of December. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy is throwing his support behind proposed federal legislation that would address these unmanned aircraft, Eric. As the state deals with an ever-growing spate of drone sightings, the bill would grant Department of Homeland Security, Department of Justice, total authority over unmanned aircraft. This goes on and on, where Hochul says the same thing. All of a sudden, Richard Blumenthal says we should shoot them down or get legislation on how to shoot them down. In between all of this discussion, they keep urging people not to shoot them down and mentioning the penalty, which is $250,000, 20 years in jail. The legislation would allow Homeland Security and DOJ personnel who are tasked with the safety, security, and protection of people, facilities, or assets to, quote, detect, identify, monitor, track, and mitigate a credible threat that an unmanned aircraft system or unmanned aircraft poses to the safety or security of a covered facility or asset, according to legislation. Some specific actions, Eric, also include warning the operator of the unmanned aircraft system, disrupting control of the unmanned aircraft system, seizing or exercising control of the unmanned aircraft system, seizing or otherwise confiscating the system itself, even using force if necessary to disable, damage, or destroy the unmanned aircraft system according to legislation. This legislation does not exist. That is what this drone thing is about. It is to scare the living shit out of the American people to pass this legislation like 9/11 and the Patriot Act.
Now, you're forgetting that the laws that are the bill that does exist, that's out there right now. That's what I was trying to show you. The House HR 2864 from September that it has passed and is being pushed forward, and they're trying to incorporate it into the omnibus bill at the end of the year. Will ban, and it'll personally affect me because it's literally banning DJI or Chinese drones, and DJI has, I think, 95% of the drone market, they're that far ahead. It's damn near a monopoly in drones.
Well, right. Well, the Senate bill is really thick. There's a lot more in the Senate bill in terms of details about drones, Eric, which is S-1631. The point I'm trying to make is that this whole thing is about this legislation. This entire thing is about passing this legislation before Trump gets in there. I don't think it's going to work. I think this might be the biggest political hoax in American history in terms of getting legislation. I mean, heads have to be determined to roll based on the amount of stuff that they've caused. If this is true, and I think it is, this is bigger than War of the Worlds in terms of just your government doing something to the American people to get what they want. And I can't emphasize this enough. I have a lot more details about this. I just don't have the time or the energy today to get into it. Maybe we can cover
Friday
more.
we'll have more.
Friday we're gonna have to get into more of it because I'm a little bit fried right now. But believe me, there's a lot of meat on this bone. This organization, this corporation that they brought, made the deal with, not that they're evil or anything. They're the ones that opened up a corridor. There's a legal corridor for the drones from 2023 in September that they signed a deal with for these drones to come down into this corridor and down to Atlantic City to see what the response will be at Picatinny and also the other bases. And we saw it in Wright-Patterson in Ohio yesterday. They had to shut down their airspace. So they're testing this out, and rightfully so. I don't really care about the testing. What I care about is what they've done to the American people by doing this. Now, like I said, there's other agencies looking into this and involved in this thing, including the FBI and the CIA and NSA, about what the American people's reaction is going to be, what political reaction is going to be. This has the earmarks of COVID combined with the Patriot Act legislation tones of 9/11. Of what's going on. There's more to it, and I'm going to have to get into it the next couple of days.
Well, it also angles into domestic terrorism, which is what they
absolutely, yeah,
so,
absolutely, yeah.
You know, who flies drones? Well, a lot of ex-military, which they consider to be a red flag. Anything patriotic in language is a red flag.
Three guys up in Boston got arrested for launching a drone from it was a fenced-in piece of land at a closed old airport on Long Island, not Long Island, New York, but up in Boston. And they came there by motorboat. The guy in the motorboat got away. These two guys were caught with a drone launching it near Logan Airfield, okay? They were arrested, and they appeared in court yesterday. And I found the local feed of the local station that covered their arrest. They were both military guys, and this whole thing was part of a phony operation. The third guy got away in a boat. This woman thought they were children playing with drones, the judge. She was completely out of touch with what was going on. They were both Iraq war veterans, and they were on a mission.
Well, cool. We'll definitely have to continue this coverage on Friday. We've got a lot of super chats and whatnot. And
go ahead,
folks. Very importantly, in order for Mark to survive the show, he obviously has to partake of our product, which is America's Untold Stories Supreme Breakfast Blend Coffee. It will help keep you going. It's pure. It doesn't have a bunch of preservatives. It's not burnt. Like, if you buy coffee from Starbucks, whatever else, that's all typically burnt. This is roasted, custom roasted, is put together just for us. It's not some crappy white label brand. It is truly good coffee. The reviews are extremely strong. And you know what? It's getting to be a last minute. You might need to figure out, hey, what am I going to do for Christmas? Whatever. You could buy some directly, or they do offer gift cards, and it can be an e-gift card that you could send people, saves you the shipping, whatever. But if you do want to ship, well, you can always buy 4, and that gives you free shipping from Mundo's Coffee. Why do you call it Mundo's? Well, it's the opposite of Starbucks because this coffee is not burnt. So consider checking that out.
Check this article out because I think you'll get some more information out of this. If you can find that. This was a year ago in the summer when they approved this testing corridor of drones to come down the Jersey corridor. And this is the organization that was given the contract, which was mentioned today in the press conference. It's very interesting. There's going to be more on Friday when we get into it.
Yeah, I also want to know the manufacturer of the drones, because there's a fight. The whole Chinese drone banning is being driven by an American company that's trying to say, hey, we can't compete, so we'll get them banned. But
right, that's a separate argument, totally legit argument, but this thing is separate from that. But yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. Plus the kid who got arrested, she crashed his in Virginia, crashed right by Newport News, right by what you were describing.
Mm-hmm.
He crashed his drone into a tree. They took out the SID card, and there was footage of him flying over those ships. That photo you just showed. He then got on a plane, went to LA, bought a one-way ticket to China, got apprehended at LAX airport. He was put on trial. His attorney, this big fat guy, said, well, if he was a spy, he was the worst spy ever. Made a joke out of it. He got 6 months and then went back to China.
Well, there you go. You don't have to worry about China manufacturing the drones or a company doing it when they just have the people here.
Yeah.
And they take any drone. You can have an American-made drone, and you can capture the data and send it back to China.
But I think this whole thing is a false flag and is really red cells and is war games situation. That's why they're dancing around the vernacular. If you listen closely to what they're saying, no, they're not Department of Defense drones. That's true. They're not. And if you listen carefully, they're dancing on the head of a pin, Eric, to try to not explain this situation to the American people.
And by the way, I believe you're saying red cell. I think it's also called red teaming when you get into the hacker world.
It's both. But with military red cells. Red cells were used in the 80s, and they were used after 9/11 to test our defenses militarily.
Right. Pamela Clifton said, happy Tuesday, guys. Another awesome thumbnail, Eric. Well, thank you. I am very happy with that thumbnail. I like the futuristic look. Sean Lucan has been a member for 3 months. And then Sean decided to give 10 America's Untold Stories memberships out. So thank you very much, Sean. Joseph Kane also gifted out an America's Untold Stories membership. So thank you very much. And another one. Thank you. Ginny's getting inky with it. Said Van Jones' clip was interesting. Basically saying the right queered media seems an admission of sorts. Repressive tolerance to make right-wing podcasts fringe, and then the right centered them. Left will try to counter it. Okay.
All right.
I can see that. They're really struggling, though, because they're like, where do we get our own Joe Rogan? It's like, well, you had him till you ran him off.
Where can we get our own Robert Kennedy Jr.?
You had him. Where can you get your own Elon Musk? You had
Where can
him.
we get our own Tulsi Gabbard?
Yeah, I mean, as a matter of fact,
the problem is their narrative is fractured, not just by the election. It's been fractured by Trump not being one person anymore, by this team idea. That has completely fractured their brain. Because once this is U.S. intelligence does this too, with Saddam Hussein, with Bashar Assad. Our thing is to demonize the dictator for us militarily. It's worked for us going back to Hitler. That's one of the things we do propaganda-wise and psyops-wise, and they did it with Trump. The problem is they now have a team around him of heavyweight cats. That fractured their brain, Eric.
Yeah, well, it screwed everything up, the whole narrative. I mean, just the fact, and Jordan Peterson did a psychological profile on Trump and his team. Obviously, the guy can't be a megalomaniac when he has all these strong-willed personalities around him. He wouldn't be able
How
to
could he
share
be a
it.
warmonger when he's never seen a war that he likes and has not pulled troops out of a foreign country?
Exactly.
I mean, their argument held up as long as it could. You know, the people who were the campaign managers for Kamala Harris said, we couldn't remind people of his first 4 years because it was so good. We had to demonize him and make believe that the first term didn't exist. And she said that on Pod Save America. They were saying it out loud, Eric.
Well, that was the disgusting part. Is they were flat out admitting
they admitted it
that it was a narrative and a story that they were trying to sell. Not that he really was a bad dude, just that we couldn't get our story across. And
right.
Like,
what's worse? I
truth?
mean, is that creepier than the truth? Or
I think it is. I think it's absolutely creepier that you're just
Well,
lying and you admit
I
it.
suggest people watch that podcast if they don't believe it, because it was quite shocking.
Actually, you should watch it and download a copy, because that's one of those that I kind of wonder if it'll disappear down the road.
Right. It's kind of like the Time magazine article about how they stole the election. They were prepared to explain how they won this election. That's why they keep saying we won, we ran a great campaign, we won on all levels, but you lost. Yeah, no, we're not talking about that. We're just telling you how we won and, everything we did that was great. They can't still believe they lost. That's why they were on Pod Save America going, she was a great candidate. We did everything by the book. We had $1 billion. We spent money. And you lost. Yes, I know. That's just a side thing.
And I hope they keep that up.
Yeah.
Please. All right. Joseph Kane has been a member for 4 months. They are a high school drama class. Okay. Oh, that must be the Supreme Court thing. Ketanji. Or whatever. A Supreme Court justice in Broadway. It did look like a high school drama class.
Yeah.
Mo Bishop. I'd like to get Mark's thoughts on Jillian Barbieri. She was quite the item when I was in SoCal.
She was hot. Okay, what should it says? What are my thoughts on her? She was hot. I don't know.
Okay, well, there you go. There's the thoughts.
That's my
she was
thought.
hot.
Okay, she was hot. Right.
That's a new one. Craig's Odd Spot. I wonder if tourism industry is up in New Jersey. War of the Worlds Skylight Show live screen. I kind of want to go down there from Burlington, Ontario. Yeah, there you go.
From Burlington, Ontario, really? Well, get down there while there's still plenty of drones to go around.
This is the perfect answer from our friend Dustin, Mark.
Right.
I think you will love it. Raining whiskey? That's the end of the rainbow right there.
You better get it. You know what? Dustin, rent a convertible and just drive around the town with your head tilted back. Or hire a driver better and you just tilt back.
Yeah, 100%. Boy, that is the most Dustin comment ever. Rano Brano with $10. Thank you. And then Rano Brano with $2. Thank you.
He found another 2 in the.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Pirate Ken said recent drone activity could be traced in part by U.S. government informing public against drones. Why? To spur Congress to stop China from selling drones in the U.S. due to national security.
There's a lot on the. That's just a tiny piece of it. What I'm saying is they're trying to push through this Patriot Act of drones, drone technology, sales, control. If you go through the bill, there's a million little bells and whistles in it. And I'm sure they will try to put in more, Eric, at the 11th hour.
Right. By the way, when you're talking about the restrictions and getting drones and all that, that applies to larger drones. Like the drone I have is a consumer, drone. Go down to Best Buy, pick it up right at the store. Target has them, Walmart, whatever. They are consumer level drones, and they're weighted down at a under.
I agree. I'm just saying that it's a patchwork quilt of laws and regulations and rules that they are using as a lever to get this legislation through to have total control of the drone planet. There's different rules and regulations. Heights varied by city, Eric.
Well, and then there's other players that are involved too, like don't forget Amazon.
Yep.
Which is a big one. People may not think it, but Amazon and drone delivery just got approved in places, and that's a concern that we have. Like I'm restricted to flying drones, 100 meters. There are certain elements there. That may go down. The ceiling may come down because Amazon might own like a 20-meter spread, or there's a lot of things coming up.
The point of the matter is, and I wasn't aware of this, of course, all of this that is happening is to bring attention to this drone thing, and it is the most draconian political chicanery I've ever seen in American history. Because at some point this is going to have to be explained, Eric. When the dust settles, I mean, there's going to have to be explained where they landed, where they went, who owned them. I mean, all of those questions are going to have to come out. They're having closed-door congressional hearings. The congressman that I like out of Tennessee says, I'm not even going to them. He said, I went to the one last week. They didn't say anything. They're trying to make it seem like they were having closed-door congressional hearings.
Oh, is this the amateur hour guy?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Rano Brano. Do you think Bobby will get Trump to pardon Sirhan? Sirhan has state charges. Trump can't pardon him.
That's a state thing, bro.
But
if it goes full circle, if she becomes governor, she could block it again because she blocked it when she was attorney general.
Oh yeah, good point.
Yeah.
David Acacia. From Earl, the munitions travel north by train to the piers.
That's true. Yeah, but it's it's like a mile.
And then let's see. Ronald Portillo. I've used $10,000 drones and the range as well as their battery life is mediocre at best. They usually last 20 to 30 minutes max per battery. Great show, guys. Yeah, and that's all I was saying. And people pointed out that the military grade drones are far more advanced. Obviously, they are, but they're not so advanced that they can fly forever. Even the jets have fuel. Everything has a limitation and a range.
The location of their return has to be near New Jersey.
Absolutely.
That's what no stupid reporter is bothering to even ask the question as to where are they going. They've got to come down somewhere. That's what Trump said. You know what I mean? They're not coming down in Iraq. They're not coming down in Florida. Correct. They have to come down in Jersey based on their range. And that building that I showed you, that group is the one in charge. They've been using the Atlantic City airport, by the way, down at Atlantic City, just to answer my own question.
Okay. Michael Murphy, get well, Bubba, vitamin C and zinc, and get some sleep. So there you go. Get well.
Thank you.
Outright mental defective is a new member.
Okay. Do we really need him? Or?
I appreciate all members, mentally defective or otherwise.
Think about the drones, the people that are involved. You've got Hochul, the blue governor up in New York. You've got Murphy, the blue governor in New Jersey. You've got no red state people involved in this entire operation. Yesterday, it went out to Long Beach, California, which is obviously another blue state. Up in Oregon, another blue state. This has the earmarks of the COVID scam. With lockdowns by the blue governors.
Cool. Michael Murphy. They are looking for a lost nuke from Ukraine. 80 are not accounted for. Right ops perfect for sniffer drones.
What's a sniffer drone, bro? What's a sniffer drone?
Well, okay, there are drones that do have different functions that can do different things. Like they're used for finding gas leaks, as an example, on pipelines and different things like that. So there are sensors.
How high do they have to fly above the pipeline?
Usually pretty close.
Right. That's my point. That's my point.
Yeah. Anyway, let's see. We've got.
Oh man, his hot tea is great.
Fletcher Boy, Paul Pelosi has bought stock in the company hired to combat drones. Probably.
Maybe the Hammer guy was cracking down. That was what the Hammer incident was about. It was Hammer time, and he wanted his drone money.
Could be. It's like, do not take away my drone. Damn it. Don't take it away.
I recommend watching the movie War Games this weekend. If
Matthew Broderick.
And there's a movie by Spielberg called 1941, which was the War of Los Angeles. Actually, it was based on that, which is a comedy with Aykroyd and Bellucci and a bunch of other people, and John Candy's in it. And it's similar to the drones in New Jersey. If you want to watch a fairly underrated film, watch the Spielberg film.
Underrated, bombed.
I'm saying it's underrated.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, hugely underrated. I mean,
that
is the movie that made Spielberg say he will never do a comedy again.
Right, but I kind of like it, and it's quite apropos for what's going on right now in New Jersey. And I can only say that Bellucci plays a bomber pilot, which is kind of fun.
100%. All right, we have one Rumble rant, and that's Drum 12 saying spending my birthday eve with my favorite storytellers. Here's a gift to help Mark get better. It's $10 Rumble Rant. So thank you very much. And we're sorry to cut it short. And we're very sorry for locals, but we're going to wrap it up while Mark still is able to talk. Otherwise, he'll get too sick for Friday and we'll really have a problem. So we're going to head out. Everybody, thank you so much. If you like this kind of show, please consider subscribing. It's free.
It is.
Can't lose on that. And we're going to continue this discussion. Definitely, there will be more on the drones
I've
on
got
Friday.
more. I'm running out of gas.
And everybody have a fantastic evening. Thank you so much.